Welcome to the Morph Search training video. Let's begin by going to the top left on the main menu and click the search icon to begin. Now, when the search window opens up, locate Morph and click it located here. Now, you may be wondering, what is the purpose of the Morph search engine? I'm glad you asked. Let's begin by opening up an English translation. I'm going to open up the New King James Version. And I'm going to take us to Matthew 7:13. Now here we have Jesus speaking, and he's saying, "Enter by the narrow gate." A little bit further down, we have Jesus speaking again, saying, "Beware of false prophets." Now, if we float our mouse over enter at the bottom of the Bible, we can see the morphological information. That is, the parts of speech. This helps us understand what the word is and what it's doing. In the case of enter by the narrow gate, it's a verb, and it's an aorist active imperative second person plural. If we float our mouse over the word beware, it's verb present active imperative. So they both are commands, but they're two different morphological commands. Enter is an aorist active imperative, where beware is a present active imperative. So these are the little nuances that can help us understand the type of command and what the readers understood was being said. And in this case, it has a huge difference. It turns out that an aorist active imperative, it's a command that you obey once. Once you've obeyed it, there's no need to keep obeying it. And that makes sense. Enter by the narrow gate is a call to salvation. Once you're saved, you're not commanded to get saved again. However, when we look at beware of false prophets, it's a present active imperative, and this is a command that is ongoing. It's a repeating command. In other words, you must always continually to be aware of false prophets because they never go away. So understanding the morphological differences can make a huge difference in understanding what's going on in the text. Now, you may be intrigued by this conversation and want to say, hey, let's see other aorist active imperatives and see how that alters our understanding of the passage. So let's build a morphological search. Now, after you click on Morph, you want to choose the criteria properly. We want all morph text, all passages, and the New King James Version. Over at the left, we have query, and we can create a morph query document, but we do not want to do that right now. So let's just click in the search box. Now, to kick off a morph search, you have to press the @ symbol. You get this special hidden menu. Notice at the very top, you must choose if you're searching the Greek, Hebrew, or Aramaic. So if we click it, we want to choose Greek. Then we want to locate the part of speech. Now, this is a verb, so we have to locate verb and click it. Now, as soon as you do that, Logos will give you the other options. Notice at the top, Logos is filling in that criteria through special codes. You don't have to know the codes. You just have to click on these items from these various columns or grid. Now, we said it was a verb. We also said it was a aorist. So we'll click on aorist for tense. We said the voice was active and the mood was imperative. Now, these categories, tense, voice, and mood, if you float your mouse, you can get a definition. So Logos is providing this information for us when we float our mouse over the English words in these various interlinear Bibles. If you float your mouse over a word and you don't see it, most likely you're not in an interlinear Bible, and so that information has not been tagged. So we have a verb, aorist, active, imperative. Now we could do second person plural, but frankly, I'm not interested whether it's first, second, or third person, and whether it's single or plural. So let's leave that off our search. Now, if we look at the top in our search box, we have at, verb, AAM, aorist, active, and M for imperative. Now, to run this search, we have three ways of running it. We can click the white arrow in the circle, we can press enter, or we can click this white arrow in the circle down here. Doesn't matter which one. Let's click the one in the bottom right, located here. Now, immediately, Logos will convert that code into a special search, and now we're searching for this specific morphological criteria. Notice we're not even selecting the type of verb. Now, if we've run the search properly, we should see Matthew 7:13 appear in our search results. And sure enough, at the left, there's Matthew 7:13. Now let's go to the very top and look at this. Now, some of these are just the word behold. Behold, an angel of the Lord appeared. This really isn't the one we're looking for. But we have here, go and search carefully for the young child, right? You're going to search for him once, find him, and then bring him back. It's not you're going to keep on searching, because once you find him, you're done searching. So our principle seems to apply. Here we have, and suddenly a voice came from heaven. This is my beloved Son, in whom I'm well pleased. And that idea of a once only applies here. So this is pretty cool, and you can see now and confirm if this grammatical pattern, a command that's done once and not repeated, applies. Now, there's always exceptions. Remember that. So we're looking for a general principle and a general rule. And this can make understanding each passage a little bit more clear. So that's the idea behind the morphological search engine, for you to be able to take morphological information and then search for it specifically. Now, Logos gives you the ability to create combinations. Let's see if there's any other place where enter is used. So I'm going to hit space in the search box. I'm going to say and equal, and I'm going to put enter and press enter. We've got Matthew 7:13 in the search results, so that tells us we did the search properly. But we also got several other verses. Here we have enter in the joy of your Lord twice. And then in Mark 13:15, it says, nor enter to take anything out of his house. We've got 4 examples where enter is used in this specific morphological way, and we can see that our principle of interpretation applies to all these, because once you enter the joy of your Lord, you're now in the joy. So this is pretty cool and very powerful. Now, if we go over to the top left and click on our hamburger menu, you'll see that Logos does include several templates, the basic and the original language. So if you're not sure how to run these searches, go through the template, find it, click, and enter the information like we've shown in the previous training videos. Let's go ahead and click on the hamburger menu to close the menu down. Now, over at the right, we have 3 ways to view our search results. We have verses, aligned, and analysis. So if we click on aligned, there is the verses, and if we click on analysis, we can see more details. So this is no different than our original Bible search. Let's click on verses. So in closing, as far as the morphological information goes, you're going to get that by floating your mouse over the word and looking at the bottom of your Bible for the morphological information. Then you're going to click on the @ symbol, and that will give you access to the morphological search criteria. Choose first the proper translation, then choose the part of speech, and work your way through each one of these. This is a wonderful way to be more precise in your searches. Now, let's look back at our query button here and click it, and let's click on Create Morph Query Document. In a few moments, the untitled Morph Query document is opened up. Now, this is a more advanced search for doing morphological searches. Let's expand this and make a little more room. So the purpose of the Morph Query document is for you to create very complex morphological searches. If you're just searching on 1 or 2 morphological terms, you really don't need this. If you want to search on different elements, you need to come here. Let's look at the elements within the Morph Query. At the top, we choose all passages and all Morph resources. Now, I recommend that if you're going to create and use this document, that you select all passages, and then down at the bottom, enter the passage that you're searching on. And the reason we're doing this is we're creating a very complex search. So we want to confirm that our search does work against the passage we're creating it with. So we'll type in Matthew 7:13 and copy and paste under title Matthew 7:13. As we've shown before, we want both the verse range and the title to match, making it easier for us to find this search query. So go ahead and click Save. So now we're searching Matthew 7:13. Now over at the left, we have the various elements that we can enter. Then we have segment 1, segment 2, and segment 3. These represent items that you're searching. So if you wanted 2 morphological items to search, you use segment 1, segment 2. In other words, each segment is going to represent 1 morphological word. And if you want 3, then you have it there. And if you want more, all you got to do is click Add Segment, and now we have 4 segments. So let's walk through this. Now in Surface, you cannot use the English. You're going to be using the underlying Greek. Now in our search, we don't want to search on the surface text. We want to search on the lemma. So let's right-click on Enter, locate the circle icon, and then choose Copy Reference Text. Then go back to our lemma box, right-click, and paste. If Logos accepts what you've pasted in there, you'll see a drop-down menu to confirm that you've entered the correct information. And then you'll click that menu choice. So we'll go ahead and do that. And now we can see that it has turned from a word to a box with an X, and that's confirmed that it's accepted our criteria. Now, if you recall, this was a verb part of speech. So let's click on part of speech, and notice the drop-down menu. We'll click verb. To make the menu go away, just click off the menu or press escape. Now we have case, number, gender, and tense. Let's click the category for tense. As we scroll down, you're going to see that they've mixed Hebrew and Greek because we're looking at all morph resources. This can be confusing, so let's go up to all morph resources and let's choose one of the Bibles listed. Notice we only have a handful. You may not have this option depending on your version of Logos. Let's choose SBLGNT. So now we're going to scroll down and we're going to locate tense and we'll click on it. Now our list is much more simpler. Let's click on mood. Notice our list has been much more simplified. There's imperative. All right, once we click on imperative, press escape or click off the menu to make it go away. So we have our basic search. Here's the Greek lemma, enter. We want it to be a verb. We want it to be an imperative. One more, let's get the tense correct. So let's click on the tense option and let's choose aorist. Once aorist appears, click escape to make the menu go away. Now we've got our first word. Let's go ahead and choose our second word. Now there's a lot of choices here, and if we're too narrow, we're only going to get Matthew 7:13. So let's go ahead and just simply choose a preposition. So I'm going to right click on the word by, and we have the preposition dia. So let's click that dia, circle icon, and go to the right and choose text. And let's click in the lemma box for word 2, right click and paste, and wait for Logos to generate the list. There's dia, and we'll click on it. If we float our mouse over by, we see it's a preposition. So let's click on part of speech for our second word, and let's choose preposition. Wonderful. All right, so we got our second word. We don't want to add any additional information from there. Now let's get the third word. This case, we have an article. Let's do that. So if we float our mouse over the word the, we can see it's an article, genitive. Let's focus on those two items. And in fact, let's right-click on the word the and get the lemma from it. So there's the lemma. Actually, this time, let's not include the lemma. Let's just focus on those two elements, article and genitive. That way the article can change. So let's locate part of speech for the third word and click it, and let's choose article. There it is. Now we also said that the is genitive. That's the case. So let's click under case and choose genitive. All right, so we got 3 words in a row. Let's go ahead and run our search right now. Remember, we're running the search against Matthew 7:13. So let's go to the top left and click search. Now, if our search was valid and correct, we should see not only the search results at the right, but we'll see the 3 different colors for 3 different words. This is very powerful. Now what we want to do is change Matthew 7:13 to all passages. So click Matthew 7:13, click all passages, and now the search has been changed, and now once again, click search. It turns out Matthew 7:13 was the only place this happened. So to make our search more generic, let's get rid of dia by clicking on the X, and now we're only going to search for any preposition and any article. Let's go ahead now and rerun our search and see if we get different search results. And we did. We got dia, but we also see that we have ice and so forth. Now notice that Matthew 7:13, all 3 words were right next to each other. But in these other passages, we see that there is some distance or some intervening words. Look at the color code. It's green, it's blue, it's orange. Each one of these followed the word order. That is very important to understand. So this particular search that we're running allows us to choose the words, the type of morphological criteria, and the word order. Now look at this. We have some additional options if we scroll down. We have search span. Now, we could do verses, and let's do that, and the search span is 10 verses. Let's see what kind of search results we get back when we run this search. So let's go ahead and click on search, and what do we see? Now, this is pretty cool. You're able to search for morphological criteria across a spectrum of verses, and that allows you to see a pattern that might span more than one verse. And we can see that there. Let's go ahead and click on 10 verses and change this to 10 words. We have exists, and this allows us to turn on or turn off this particular word. So if we click the bar, notice the bar turns off. Let's run the search and see what happens. Notice that this word is ignored now, and we can see different search results with those last two. So you may have a reason to include this, or you may decide to temporarily remove it. You can do that through exists. Now let's click exists again, and that'll bring back the line, and now that will be included in our search result. Now, in order, let's go ahead and click the bar, and let's run the search for in order, and let's see what happens. Notice that we have the color orange, blue, green, but in the next one, it's blue, orange, green, etc. So in this case, the order changed. In other words, this first word can appear anywhere. Let's click on the bar to bring it back, and let's click the X this time. Notice the order is completely gone now for all these sections. So let's run the search and see our search results. Now we're getting a few more hits, and notice all the orders change. Now, how do you bring it back? Now, to bring that back, let's click Add Relations, and there is order in the menu. So we click it, and now order is part of the criteria once again. Now, if we click Add Relation, we get two other options, proximity and agreement. Let's click on agreement. Now, agreement is where you want words to match. This might be good for repeating words or for some criteria to match. Now, let's click on agree. We have the option to agree or disagree. Let's stick with agree. Then let's click on none. Now, notice how we can match items here. Let's say we want the number to match. So we'll click on number. Let's go ahead and run the search. Notice no hits came back. That's because the number is not the same for all the criteria. So let's go back and take a look at our Bible and see why that's the case. We float our mouse over enter, and we have second person. We float over by, but there is no person. That's a problem. And we float over then, and there's no person. So we're trying to match person when two of the three words don't even have person as part of their morphological data. So that's why that didn't match. Let's go ahead and click on X to get rid of this option. And let's click Add Relation one more time, and let's choose Proximity. Next, let's click on 10 words. Now, as you can see, you can change number by clicking in the box and typing it in. 1 is the minimum that you need to type in. You can use the triangles to increase or decrease the number. You also can choose to search on words and verses. Now, what exactly is this span option doing? This is different than the search span. This is looking at the words that you've added. Let's go ahead and run this search. Now, if we look at the search results, we can see our passages here. We see one example where each word is in a row and there's no intervening words. But if we look at this example in Matthew 6:6, we have quite a few intervening words. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 8 words between the first word and the last word. Now, if we lower this to, let's say, 7 and press enter and rerun the search, we can see that between the last hit, ice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words have spanned, we get a hit. Now let's change this to 6 and see what our search results look like at this point. Notice that that search result is missing. So what this spanning is doing is it's looking at the intervening words between any of the words that you have in your query. So in other words, when we're looking at this first word, the next option can have 6 intervening words. And our third word can have another 6 intervening words. So it spans it across all 3. Now this can get pretty complicated. Now we can add more proximities. So now that we've added another span, we could use it this way. We could turn off the new one and say, all right, between the first word and the second word, we want that to be 6 words. But between the second and third word, we want that to be 10 words. Now let's run this search and see what we get. Now we didn't get our results as we expected, and that's because we need to turn off this span for these two. By turning off the span on one and turning it on the other, we now can get that special criteria. So here's the 6-word span between the first word, second word, and from the second word to the third word, we want to do 10. Let's go ahead and run that search. And sure enough, our second Matthew 6:6 came back. So, very important concept. I know this was very advanced, but I want to make sure I cover this in my training so that you understand how these bars can interact with one another and how you can add more relations and control them even between each column. I'm going to go ahead and close all these search windows down. Let's scroll back to the top. If you're wondering what the blue circle with the white triangle is, let's click it. Now, this gives you the option to move the column information around. We can add a word before, add a word after, move to the right, clear, or even delete. So this essentially gives you some editing capabilities and allows you to kind of vary things a little bit. So let's click Move to the Right. And now our word 2 is the second word. Let's now click Move to the Left to put it back where it was before. If we go to the top right, there's a compact option. Let's click on that. And what compact does is it hides all the criteria you did not select. And so that's the purpose of compact. So I recommend that while you're developing the search, while you're modifying or creating the search, leave it in full mode. Once you're done and about to run the search, click compact. That'll be a little bit easier to see all the information. So in conclusion, if you want to do complex morphological searches, then you have to use the morph query. This will allow you to select the morphological criteria for one word at a time.